You mean like sort of on...
I guess I love you.
Tragedy struck.
I see you haven't lost your touch.
Hey, pro nerds. Welcome to another episode of the Nerdcast. This one's a Nerdcast recast. It's Iggy, your host, and I'm here with Galo as my co-host. How you doing, Galo?
Doing great, feeling great. Got a lot of snow, but you know, what can you expect? It's winter.
Yeah. Everybody's getting a lot of snow right now. But if you're not familiar with the recast, the way we do it is we bring in a special guest each week. But before I let Gallo do that introduction, actually, I'm just going to let you know that obviously the Nerdcast by Project Nerd is brought to you by Geek Garage. Head on over to geekgarage.com to see some of the world's coolest geek and pop culture themed vehicles, as well as stay up to date on events and even register your nerdy car. That's geekgarage.com, geek-garage.com. All right, Gallo. Do the honors. Who's our special guest for this week's recast?
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the one and only Mr. Peter Macon.
There you go. Yay.
Ladies and gentlemen.
With the loud applause. So
coming to the stage right now.
Check.
Thank you.
1,
Yes.
2, 1, 2.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I know you're probably busy because I think if anybody is paying attention, Orville season 3 finally is back to filming. So I know you've been very busy.
I got lucky today. I had the day off because they're on location on some part of some episode that I'm not. They don't really let board us off the ship that much. So like when they go to the like planets, my days usually get a little weird, but yeah, so they're shooting something. But yeah, and I have to tell you, these episodes are bananas. I mean, I thought that we were really doing something season 2 as a leap from season 1, but like these episodes that we're shooting now are just redonkulous. I mean, I can't wait for you guys to see this stuff because I've seen 2 episodes. And they're amazing. I mean, they've retooled everything. That's all I can specifically say. But it's going to be well worth the 9-year wait. That's what
it feels that way.
Yeah, it does feel that way.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up something big there too, because I wanted to touch on that. So Seth MacFarlane making a Star Trek, basically. I'm expecting Family Guy in space. And then we get that season 1. And I can tell you what, especially as a huge sci-fi nerd myself, a Star Trek fan, blown away. And my kids are blown away too. I watch it with she's now 10, and then my 16-year-old son, and they love it just as much. And the topics that you guys take on sometimes, and it's still got a little bit of humor in there, but it's far better than anything I expected it to be. Not that I expected it to be bad, but it's just that's how good it is. I love this show.
Well, thank you. I mean, well, you can't really do, now that we're doing like 60 minutes, you can't really do 48 minutes is what it was before, but 60 minutes worth of jokes. I mean, it's like you can get away with that for half an hour, but then after a while it's just like people check out. And I think that more than anything, the appeal was to blend like comedy and tragedy sort of together. Like I said this before, but my clown professor studied clown for a couple of years at the Yale School of Drama, and my clown professor was like, without the possibility of tragedy, comedy can't exist. You know what I mean? I think that's why comedians are so tortured, and but like you just have to laugh to keep from crying. But like the essence of the show is simplicity, and sort of like a, like not a dystopic future, but like, just people going to work and just like sort of the everyday, drama that unfolds with this, like, like The Office, like this, it's like kind of like, you know what I mean? And it just so happens to be like 500 years in the future, and we still have problems, but like, yeah, the backbone of the show is blending, humor in with like, some serious stakes, like, and that's what I think is compelling. But yeah, both of my sons, we have almost a 3 and a 5-year-old now. They're 2 and 4, but like they're like we'll watch the show and I'm like, Daddy, 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 it's Daddy, and like they have like a superhero themed day at school and like wear your favorite superhero shirt, and my 2-year-old wore the Bortis t-shirt. I was
awesome.
So
That-
yeah, that felt
Wait a
great.
minute. I want a Borders t-shirt.
Yeah, this is a bootleg. This is something I had no control over. As bootleg. I claim no royalties, no residuals off of it. I didn't make it. It just showed up. You know
Making
making
that clear to Fox.
Yeah,
and
just so you know, I'm
Disney,
not
right?
like mass marketing Borders t-shirts on the under. Like, I wish I
So
was.
Peter, before we backtrack, for those of our fans, because another thing that we really want to do with these podcasts is kind of cross all the nerd verses, and introduce different people to different things.
Yeah.
So for people that may not be familiar with the Orville,
Okay.
how would you describe Bortis to them?
I would say if like okay. I would say if a Klingon, the Thing, and Sam the Eagle from the Muppets had a love child, that would be that would be Bortis. You know what I mean?
I got him on the shelf back there, Sam the Eagle, actually.
Yeah. I mean, that's like I really think, and then you sprinkle in a little bit of Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the dignity of Sam the Eagle, and Klingon and the Thing, they're just they're, but he's a sensitive guy, Bortis. I mean, so he's learning. I think also what's really interesting is playing an alien where obviously humanity but English and idiosyncrasies are not your first, like English is not your first language. You know what I mean? Like, or even like your first, way of communicating, like through your so it's always been fun to approach everything with like a childlike level of enthusiasm, but he's very serious, which I think is what makes it funny. Like, what's like Rudolph the reindeer, what Santa Claus, things like that. Like we're little subtle details that to pick up on what it's like to be, to play an alien. But yeah, I mean, just keeping it, and he's it's ironic, man. Like you'll see the crazy stuff that I get to do juxtaposed with like this stoicism is it's that's the joke of Bortis. So yeah, I mean, and I would describe the Orville as, I mean, this is Seth's crazy brain, but like it's like if Family Guy and Star Trek went to the drive-in, and
we're following.
I don't know, wherever kids these days make out in their cars.
Right.
But yeah, it is that. So it's a blend of, and I think that, Star Trek being, the original Star Trek, that, like, I won't say being ahead of its time, but being definitely a product of its time, with like, the first interracial kiss on TV, and then like aliens, and, like, sexy, like making aliens. You understood why Kirk got down with all those green ladies. They're like, well, man,
right.
I would do it. You know what I mean? But it would just kind of putting, like I think the Orville is, if I dare say that the Orville is kind of like a Star Trek of its time, in the sense only just that it's dealing with like political issues in a way that I don't know that like a lot of other science fiction shows are doing it so on the nose. Do you know what I mean?
It really is. I mean, you talk about how
absolutely
tough and rigid Bortis is, but if you were to say, if comparing it to our culture, it would be like a member of the queer community, I guess. It would be, obviously it's a different culture, that's the way it is, So
Right.
they even try to make it, but it is, when you're introduced to these other characteristics of the character, it's not where you expected it to be that character.
No.
You felt if they were going to tackle that on that show, it would be with another character, a character
Yeah.
you might more see typecast into that. And I think that's what makes it amazing. Like you said, tackling things you just didn't expect.
Yeah, just going against type, and just
Right.
I mean, and just to put this in your mind so that you can't unsee it. People were like, well,
Now we're getting excited.
yeah, what like when Mocklins, when they get down, they're doing the dance, the dirty, the the beast with two backs, whatever you want to call it. What is that like? And I'm like, well, if you were to take two boulders, football-sized boulders, so I guess it's not a boulder, big rocks, and put them in the dryer, the sound that's the Mocklin love dance. You're welcome.
It's extra funny for me because I was literally just on a work call earlier with the dryer in the background running with the like those the dryer balls in there, just making that extra noise. So it's fresh in my mind is what
There
I'm thinking.
There you go.
Perfect. Well, let's, as Galo mentioned, we did want to go backwards, and we did want to talk about some of the other things because you brought up something already that's fascinating. Clown school basically, but I mean, theater seems to be where it all kind of started, and that seems to be your big thing.
Yeah,
from the Midwest too, really.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up in Chicago, and then I don't feel you. I don't feel your pain, right? I mean, I feel your pain, Galo, right now, like all the damn snow.
Peter, we miss you, man. Come home, bro. Come
home.
I'm
good. I'm good. I
doesn't want anything to do with that.
I come in the summer and the fall, like
right.
like I'm not dealing with like Sub-Zero. That hawk, I can't deal. But yeah, so we grew up. I grew up in Chicago, and then we left and moved to Minneapolis. And then that's where, because the schools were really, really just shit in Chicago. Like the public school system where I was going to was just like,
what neighborhood?
The last public school I went to was like on the 103rd and Halsted, pretty much. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
So like, like not as far, but then we lived almost in Calumet, like 120th and Union, so way out there. Like, Inglewood, grew up there, like 63rd and anyway. But like the school that we were going to, like, sometimes we didn't have books. You know what I mean? Sometimes we had to share books. Sometimes it's like, just couldn't really, and like, and then the gangs were really bad too. Like the, Disciples and, Latin Kings, like El Rookins, like, excuse me. A little bit of a cold, but yeah. So we moved to Minnesota, and the public schools were a lot better. We had books, arts education, and so I mean, I had like I think I did my first play when I was in third grade in Chicago. We did a tour of the Wiz. We had like this amazing third grade music teacher. Her name was Mrs. Burton. She had a singing group called Burton and the Doo-Wops or something like that, and they would go out and they would sing in clubs and stuff. But she was our music teacher, and so she was just really passionate about music. And so we did the Wiz, and we did like oh no, I take that back. My first play was Alice in Wonderland. Like, and I played. But anyway, we're going way back. But I'm just saying, like,
fantastic.
So since I was
Let's do it.
Since I was like, I want to say 5 or 6, been like interested in being an actor. But so cut to when I graduated from high school, I went on a tour for like, we did like a 40 city, 22 state tour. So that's why I know about like all these places like Billings and like Bozeman, Montana, and like like all these places up in New England and like New Hampshire, where Ben and Jerry's, or Vermont, where Ben and Jerry's have their whole operation. And like there's like a somewhere, is it New Hampshire or is it Vermont? I want to say it's New Hampshire, where like there's like a sob deal a Saab factory there, so everyone drives Saabs. It's a little just weird, like factoids that you only know from going out and visiting and playing in places. But yeah, so I toured when I was 17, and I left home a vegetarian virgin and came home not that. That road life is rough on you, bro. Like a weed smoking fornicator. Yeah, I mean, just like,
and this was theater, right?
This is theater, man. So this is like, I mean, this is like, we were doing the same show for 9 months, and you still continue to grow, but it's vastly different than film and TV, like growing up in the theater. So then, that I got my equity card. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's Actors Equity Association, and that's the professional stage actors and stage performers and stage creatives union, which is, I don't know how they're surviving right now. But so then I went on another tour when I was 19, and then, but I was still going to college, so I would go to like, we went to art school for undergrad and studied painting and basically like filmmaking. And so then I would go from school to rehearsal and rehearsal to school, and it was just kind of nuts doing that. And then I moved out to San Francisco to finish art school and to continue working on the stages out there. And then I started doing a little bit of TV. I got to do, I think one of my first TV gigs was with Don Johnson on this show called Nash Bridges. That
little show, right?
Little show.
Cheech Marin, I think, and like it was like, I got fucking connect, Peter. I really like it. I'm like, oh man, it's Sonny Crockett. What up? But then there wasn't a ton of TV or film production in the Bay Area, and I had graduated from art school, and I had my sights always set on New York. So then I went to New York and got my ass kicked there for a while and worked on the stages out there and made it up to Broadway. And then, well, actually, when I moved out to New York, I had a job from San Francisco, this play called Trial of One Short-Sighted Black Woman versus Mammy Louise and Safrida May. And it was this woman suing Aunt Jemima for race crimes. It was dope. You know what I mean? Like political, and I got to play like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different characters. And like I played all the witnesses, you know what I mean? And they had like this sort of this mask work that was just half my face as a mask. So I played like a Hollywood producer, Evan Hershey, and like this I played a slave master. I played like the slave master's wife. I played I don't know, some other characters, but like you could always tell it was me. But people at the end of the show would be like, "Where are all these other people?" And it was just me. So it was like, so then I that show was over, and living in New York, or like I guess like living anywhere, like it's great until you're unemployed. And when you're unemployed, it's like you see the dark, dirty side of a city, and and then I was just like, I couldn't, so I would go into casting directors' offices and they'd be like, so where'd you train? And I'm like, well, I went to the art school. They're like, what? And so they just didn't take you on the East Coast anyway. They didn't really take you serious. And so I had never even actually taken an acting class, well, except for in high school. And so I had a friend who's going to Yale, to the Yale School of Drama, and and I was like, man, I don't think I want to live in New York and be an actor if this is what it means to just do like these really shitty jobs and for no money. And theater is like, if you have like a LORD contract, which is League of Regional Theaters, that's what it stands for, and I believe, and like you get a decent contract would be 8 weeks of rehearsal. You're making at least $1,970, $800 a week before taxes, And so and it's like so it's not a lot of money, you know, and but I didn't have any kids and then family, and so it was just me, so I could live off of that. But that's kind of the best as good as it gets. I mean, I've done some other shows where we had like 3 weeks of rehearsal to try to learn, like, you know, I mean, I wish I had the book here because I was just rereading this play that I had rehearsed for 3 weeks, and I highlighted all my lines and I went back and looked at them like, God damn, that's a lot. So anyway, but it really lets you know why you want to be an actor. Like some people, I talk to young people or just people just starting out or whatever, and I'm like, why do you want to be an actor? It's like, oh, I want to be famous and all this, and I'm just like, yeah, this is like pretty much like the least glamour looking profession that you can have. I mean, like, you know, shooting I mean, my days now in the Orville are an average of 12, 14 hours. You know what I mean? That's like 12 hours in prosthetic makeup. It's itching, my skin is on fire, you know, because if I shaved too soon, you know, and then we go and we put the makeup on and then the makeup reacts to my skin. It's not all pleasant all the time. A lot of times it's really shitty. But because I grew up in the theater and just working, you know, for 30 years almost in, you know, in those conditions where it's like you're not making a lot of money, but it's like the art that you're creating in front of live audiences is unparalleled to anything that I'd still put it up against anything today. Just that experience and that feeling of, you know, captivating and holding an audience, a room full of people's attention, and everybody sort of agreeing that we're gonna go on this journey, you know, of storytelling together. It's as old school as you can get. It's like sitting around a campfire, and you know, so that stuff is that's just timeless. You know what I mean? All the way back to like before the Greeks, before, you know, like, you know, the very big cavemen sitting around, you know, like reenacting the hunt and like, oh, we got this Tyrannosaurus, but Leroy, he didn't make it. You know, like,
Why is it always got to be Leroy?
I don't know, because Leroy just sounds like the dude that's gonna get eaten first or killed in the movie. You know what I mean?
But the way you break it down, you can tell there's so much passion there for that.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the way you just went on about it, like it was just the extreme passion of it. And as you mentioned, I think a lot of, and not just acting, so many industries, people get in it for the wrong reason, money or fame. And as you can see there, it's you have to do the legwork. You have to do the legwork before
Yeah.
you I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
there's only one Tom Cruise, right?
yeah, I mean, and you know, the sad thing is like there's like 10 Tom Cruises, but like there's only the one that got through you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Actually, that's a better way to put it. Yeah.
You know, like 10 Picassos, but only like that one. You know what I mean? There's not, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just there's so many moving parts and factors.
Timing and luck.
Yeah, and like opportunity, meeting, preparation. But then there's also like nepotism too. Like there's also people who are like famous now because they come from famous, you know,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. Like Picasso's dad was like a huge, amazing, like rich painter. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And you know, in Spain, and he, like, by the time Picasso was 15, his dad was like, "You're way better than me, so I'm gonna just like turn it over to you." So I mean, I just think that they're like, you know, and like I think about my own kids now, like they're Angelinos now, we're growing up, like, and you know, they don't really want for anything, but like trying to keep them, and yeah, I know they're 2 and 4. I mean, but they're like young, you know, they're like, you know, black men that will grow up in this world, and just like, and we haven't had to have all of that yet, but just like trying to keep them from being assholes, you know, because it's like kids have like, you know, when you have like, I didn't, you know, sometimes me and my brother share the same underwear. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, you can have them this day and we wash them in, but like, yeah, my kid, like they're like little rich kids. You know what I mean? Compared to where I grew up, like I know there are
Right.
a lot of kids that are way better off than we are, but like I know that I'm way better off than I was when I was their age. And so, you know, just trying to keep them with a level of humility and gratitude, and just trying to keep them respectful and all of that stuff. I forgot why I went down that road, but anyway, yeah, kids. I don't know.
I think that's the
kind of
job
do
as a
something.
parent, right? The first 6 years
Yeah.
is just teach them not to be assholes. Right?
That's it.
So,
That's it.
right?
I think we could all relate to that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, definitely here.
if I leave this world knowing that I didn't raise 3 assholes,
Yeah,
I did
You're
all
right.
right as far as I'm
Right,
concerned.
exactly.
I did all right.
Because
you
it's a
know?
lot. First, you got to keep them alive.
Yeah, and that's the goal.
Right. But I just think that I mean, maybe I'm a point that's kind of bubbling around in my head is that it's not easy, and if it were easy, it wouldn't be as, I don't know, everybody would do it, whatever. But I just feel like it's like it takes a lot to really get masterful at something, or be whatever it is, passionate. Like, I wish I was like a masterful accountant. I'd be like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I wish I had a passion for numbers and bean counting. But
Yeah.
I just, like the obelisk sitting right here, and like it's like, no, but and especially now during like these crazy FUBAR times, you really like a lot of theaters or have closed. A lot of everything is closed. A lot of opportunity for creatives to do their work has just been shut down. And so, but then other things like pop up, like this stuff, like Zoom stuff. Like necessity is mother to invention, right? So it's like, you come, like things come up that we weren't, like last time we were hanging out in Colorado, or I think that's where it was. Omaha, which is right by Colorado. Yeah, like that we who knew? Like, if you would have said, yo, you man, in like a year and a half, bro, it's all gonna, every 2 dimension, you're gonna be in your, like, what's your background and like game, like step your background game up, because that's what it's gonna, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you just didn't know
No doubt.
what was coming, and but yet I think a lot of good things have come out of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think more than anything, on a macrocosmic level, I think people have had to really dig deep and go inside, and see, just what is it, like, just these like really like existential questions, you know what I mean, that are just like, what's my purpose? What am I doing? How do I deal with myself when I'm not distracted by having to go to work, or having this or that, like, and it's just me alone in my room, or have to figure out like some way to get out of, or pay my bills, or be creative, or just stay in communication with other people, or just not go crazy, or get too fat, or drink too much, which it's all happening. But I haven't mastered those yet.
Still struggling. I'm struggling with those last ones. I'll eat
it. That's why we stick to podcasts.
Right. Exactly.
We have bodies for podcasts. So Peter,
go ahead.
Sorry, Iggy. Peter, once you kind of broke through and you started getting these opportunities to act on the small screen, in television, and doing other things, how was the transition, and how does it feel now to kind of be almost the mainstay in a lot of these episodic series that are on television?
Well, I mean, I always tell people that it just sucks until it doesn't, but then it'll suck again, and it just like dips and rises. And to be honest, I was damn near homeless before. I got a break. I think it was like 2011, 12, 13, something like that. When I came back to LA I went up to Oregon to work at a Shakespeare festival up there. Oregon Shakespeare Festival is like the oldest Shakespeare festival in the Western Hemisphere. Like, it's like it started in 1939, but quality, stage work. But so then I left that, because I was like, I'm gonna stay up here forever. If I don't get out of here, I gotta get out of here. Because it's like I went up there for 6 months and stayed for 5 years, and I was like, you gotta go. So so then I got back and I was like, auditioning. My agency at the time were they were putting me out and stuff, and I couldn't catch a break, and I couldn't book anything. And like the sublet that I had was running out, and I had no money. And I'm like, well, you're just gonna have to go find some place to go park and sleep in your car until you figure it out. And that was like, and then 2 days before all of that was gonna happen, um, my agent got me this audition for that book, this job that took me up to Vancouver, and it was like it's too bad because it was a pilot that didn't make it, but it was like the premise was that they were they were mining the moon for like the ice, and then like there were Russians and Chinese, like there are all these different factions up there warring over like these resources, and it was a pretty cool concept. But yeah, I mean, I was like, oh great, but like I went from sleeping in this mosquito infested loft downtown to a 5-star hotel in 2 days. It was just again a dips and rises where it's like, okay, you're gonna have to be eating ramen noodles and say whatever to just room service, and it's just being able to roll and be even with both of them. So and then it was like a bit of a learning curve in just terms of like just trying to read like the schedule and just know where you're supposed to be doing, and like staying focused, like because there's so many, again, like I said, moving parts just on a set, like in trying to, as opposed to being in the theater where it's like 3 hours of suspension of disbelief, but where you have like 12 hours of like tedious, like broken down, like non-linear storytelling, and just getting used to that. So like now I can just just fall in and just go where I need to be, and like without like having to like prepare all day kind of thing. I just know that like and I think that's sort of the great thing about being on a show, on like being a series regular on a TV show, is almost akin to being like in a long running theater play. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so like now like the transition is pretty smooth. But although I did go and do something after the first season of the Orville, I went and shot an episode of I think it was SEAL Team, and I sucked. I was horrible. No, I mean, I shit you not. That was like, because I was so used to doing one thing. You know what I mean? Whereas before,
Right, yeah.
I used to be able to bounce around and do all kinds of like, this character, that character, this game, whatever. But like, it just took me so long not so long, but I spent so much time investing myself in building out the character of Bortus, which is a brand new character that like I basically built, that by the time I was trying to go do something else, just didn't translate, and it was pretty fucking embarrassing. But the next day I went back to set. I came home and told my wife, I was like, yo, that was horrible. I'm surprised. I'm gonna get fired. And they didn't fire me, and I went back, and I'm like, okay, let me just sort this out and figure out. And the thing is because I was playing like a cob, right, a chief of the boat on the submarine, and it was very like similar to, being like, third in command on a starship. I mean, they're very sort of similar things, but like I didn't. It was like I was doing Bortus, but without the makeup. You know what I mean? It just didn't work. It just didn't translate, and that was something that I had to learn. But like, I mean, I think that this whole thing is, it's all about learning and adjusting and growing and trying to just and if you don't want to do that, then well, you have to do it anyway, no matter what it is you're doing. But there's certainly easier ways to make a living. At least there used to be. I don't know what it's like now. Ain't nobody got no job. Yeah, but so it's just something that is just I've always kind of been on this I don't know, like this way of expressing myself, I suppose. I mean, because I feel like if I didn't have this, and I didn't have like a family to support, and I would probably just be a criminal. Like just like not like I mean, just like a white collar criminal. You know what I mean? Like I figure out like not like where nothing like I'm like a cat burglar or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't mean like I'm like, but
that F word, that family word changes a lot of things. That's for sure.
There's no. Now I live in sweatpants. I don't. I don't. It's not that I don't try, but it's like I just don't have a lot of reason to put on a button-down shirt or like.
Listen, I'm in my track pants right now, so I'm not even judging.
I'm saying, like I'm so like consumed, especially now, like that they're home a lot, but they're back in school, kind of. But the days are just consumed with like either making sure they're okay and and chasing them around, playing with them, engaging with them, reading, teaching and watching stuff together, and then feeding them, bathing them, and then by the time like 9 o'clock or so rolls around, I'm so damn tired.
Right.
I'm like trying to do something else, like go paint or work on some music or read a play or read a book or something, just to kind of keep myself charged up. You know what I mean? It's full time. It's full on. So
well, Gallo and I are fathers of older ones, and I hate to give this information to you, but you remain tired for the rest of it. Like it doesn't change.
That's what I hear. I told my wife, I'll see you in 18 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you still remember me. But yeah, no, I mean, it's cool, because it's like my son they're interested in, just funny to seeing life through their eyes. Like my oldest son is interested in languages, and well, now he's all about Roblox, which is, I don't know where that shit came from, but like,
oh God, here all day, every day, bro.
Yeah, all
Roblox,
day.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's I can take that iPad away and it just like crack. Please don't take my iPad. Like, put your socks on, brush your teeth, then you can have your iPad back. Okay. I'll do anything for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. See, I tell you, they found me.
There you go. That's all right. That's all right.
Yes. Want to say hi? Okay.
Special, and he's wearing the shirt right there.
He's wearing the shirt.
Yeah.
Ah.
What are you doing? Did you eat your food? Yeah. Okay, I'll see you later.
There you go.
No.
They're like, nope.
Nope.
But that's it's awesome because it's all those things. I was a person, to relate it to me, was a person that never wanted to be a father.
Oh,
and
really?
At the age of 20, that like very young changed for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of things that define me, but I feel like that's the main thing. Not only that does, but that I want to define me.
That's mad young.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was. It was. Just talk it there. That's the awesome shirt though that they got to wear to school there. That we're not promoting for Fox. Just not. Right.
Okay.
But no, it's another thing that you bring up too. It's to relate it to some of the other things you're saying is anybody can have a child. I think it goes back to the passion that you're talking about, the other things that makes you, it's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't have kids, because that 9 p.m. exhaustion, like Gallo and myself understand when you say that, it's the best exhaustion you could ever have though too, at the side, right?
There. Just make it to the finish line. So
that's right.
Okay, I'll see you later. So you can get up at 5:30 in the morning, like being hit in the face. He literally was like, crack.
Oh God! All right.
Balloon, like, come on, wake up. And I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, right. No matter, and it's like you see those I watch a lot of nature shows, or I used to watch a lot of nature shows, and you see like the rambunctious like baby cubs or whatever, like
right.
Like, the mom lion is laying there, and every once in a while she'll go, like,
yeah.
So it's like try not to like react like when I'm half asleep, And then like next thing you know, I'm choking him in the air. I'm like, no.
Was it like Lion King, where it's like before the sun rises, he's your son or whatever? Yeah. Awesome. Well, on the acting part, going back to that too, I think an important thing to touch on is you do some voice acting too for video games as well. But the reason I mentioned that is that you won an Emmy and it's for voiceover work actually too. So.
That was weird. That was like in 2001. I think so.
Listed 2002 for the series Animated Tales of the World.
Yeah, that was nuts because it was in my second year of drama school, and after my first year of drama school, I went to I saved some money and went to Spain and came back, and I spent all my money. I didn't have I didn't have an apartment lined up for my second year of school. I didn't have I was ass out. So then I like these people called me and asked me if I wanted to do this job, and like I made like, you know, I made like $400 off this thing, you know, but it was enough to get me back to school and like have like a bit of a somewhat of a, like I just had to wait till my financial aid would kick in. So it was like,
right.
So they gave me enough money to like live off of for like a couple weeks until I could whatever give all my money back to the government. So, and then HBO used to do this series called Animated Tales of the World, where they would take all these different folk tales from all over the world and they would animate them in a variety of ways. And like the animation that on the one that I worked on was like this impressionistic artist. His name was Andrei Zaludikon, and they're like, it's so impressionistic that we don't think that like American audiences are gonna really understand this, or foreign audiences are gonna really understand this story about John Henry, American story. So they asked me to narrate it, and I did, and then cut to like I'm like stressing out about going to clown class one Thursday morning, and the registrar's office called me like, yeah, you have a message here, you want some award, you want to come in. And I thought it was like somebody fucking with me because I was like, you know, because that's all the shit we would do to each other. You know what I mean? You know. But no, I mean, and it was a creative Emmy, so they weren't like you know, like the primetime, you know, Emmys that, you know, it was just such a funny thing. But I was like, what? And so they flew me out here to LA and put me up in a hotel, and I didn't even have a driver's license. What's the matter, buddy?
That's mommy on you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I mean, and then it was like trying to explain. They don't give you anything to carry it in, which is a weird thing. You know, they don't give you like a.
They just hand you the trophy.
You don't get a box or a case or nothing.
I mean, if you get it sent to you, yeah. But I was like, no, I'm gonna take this with me. You know, okay, buddy. And then you know, I get on the plane and like the TSA agent, it's like, this is very sharp. I don't know if we can let you on with this. I'm like, I'm not gonna check it. But yeah, like that happened, and I thought, okay, for sure, my voiceover. Hi, Benny. It's our friend.
Hi.
Hello.
You wanna go play with Ben and stop screaming in Daddy's talk? Okay. I'll see you later. So yeah, and I thought that oh, here my voiceover career is set, you know, locked. No. Like, no, because then I went back to school. Like, I mean, I was still in school, so I remember we were out here, my friend and I. He flew out, you know, to just hang out, and Stephen Baldwin was in like an Urban Outfitters, and then like right before they were closing, I was just going to buy some sneakers, and like he started chopping it up with Stephen Baldwin, and he's like, yeah, he doesn't have an agent. He needs an agent. He just won an Emmy for voiceover, and like Stephen Baldwin's like, you want an Emmy? You don't have an agent? I'm like, yeah, man, no. But so I went back to school, And then by the time I got out of school, it kind of didn't like. It's not that it didn't matter, but it just wasn't current. Do you know what I mean? And so, and it's great to have. It's here on the like in the room, and that's up on the shelf. And but yeah, I mean, like that, especially now, like voiceover, you know, work. It's actually much more competitive now because of COVID, because people are
Oh
just
yeah, I imagine.
recording everything from home, and you know, like my studio's a really great studio per se, but not really, you know what I mean? And like besides recording the shows, and like the voiceover agents that I've had before, they're like they only deal with people who just deal with like movie and promos and stuff and video. But the video game stuff, you know, when I'm able to get it, I'm still auditioning for, you know, stuff now, and it's kind of the luck of the draw. But it's, I mean, I've done like a lot of audio books as well. But video games are fun, because I mean, and especially like mocap. Like I've done like a couple of mocap video games. Names I can't remember, but that's fun because it's like they do so much more with it now. Like what was I watching? I was watching Love, Death, and Robots again for.
Oh yeah.
So some of that stuff is just so twisted.
Yeah.
But the animation is you know, and like what Peter Jackson and people are doing with like, you know, Andy Serkis and, you know, Planet of the Apes and all those, you know, those mocap jobs. It's like it's grown so much, so it's so much more fun. But and sometimes doing voice video games, mocap video games, mad tedious. You know, you think shooting a television show is tedious, but it's like you're just shooting like little 15-second clips here and there, you know what I mean, where you have to like, you know, and there's not a lot of set. There's just like the volume is just like cameras, so you're just like they're just putting all this stuff and green screening everything. But yeah, you know, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I feel like part of the reason why I got this job with the Orville is because of, you know, because Seth, he really like, and I think that's kind of the name of the game with a lot of science fiction, like they like a lot of theater actors, because you have to make this make-believe world and language and
Right.
technology tangible. You know what I mean? And so I see that a lot of theater actors in science fiction, because of language and handling language, and, you know,
Right.
deal.
Well, I'm really interested in knowing what books Bordas could read to me. I hope there are some like some of those romantic thriller novels that you did the audio books for.
Oh God.
With the dryer sound in the background.
That's right. When you cut to the scene. You explain it yourself for sure.
And I'd be wearing an ascot in front of a fireplace.
I love it for sure. Well, you mentioned video games, so I have the list right here. You have Anthem as recent as 2019.
Yeah, that's the last one.
Wolfenstein 2, Cool Borders 2, and Twisted Metal 2, which
that's old school.
Yeah, 1996. That was
freaking Bay, man. That was like Nash Bridges days.
yeah, right around there. It's awesome. It definitely spans quite a bit of time there.
Well, it's when I was able to do some, you know, conventions, and people would be like, so tell me, like, I was like, man, I don't, that was 1996. I don't remember. I never, because I'm not a gamer, right? You know, so I mean, I used to be like, I had like a PS2, and after playing it for like 14 hours a day, I had to just put it in storage. I'm like, you can't, this has to go away. Because like, you know, grew up playing like, you know, like pinball and Asteroids and, you know, Galaga and like all those, like I was like going to the drugstore every day after school with my pocket full of quarters. So I mean, I'm prone to video games, but like games now, I can't even play. It's like I'm just like first person shooter games. I'm like, I look like I'm having like an epileptic fit, and it's like I'm trying to like go around and play a game. I can't do it. No one wants to play with me. It's fine. I don't need it. But even watching my son like play on his iPad, like him navigating like the oh shit, I'll take that later. And but yeah, I just wasn't a gamer, so I didn't really. It was almost embarrassing to like someone waiting in line to talk to you and like you
sit
have
in this panel, right? And then all of a sudden it's just like, I don't know, it was a job. They called me, I took it.
like, dude, I didn't wait in line for an hour for this. You better give me something else. You know what I mean? So,
oh, it was rad.
yeah, and I like, yeah. So, but I look forward to, who knows? I mean, I think I'd really like to do. Well, I have like a small reoccurring role now in Family Guy that's happening, and but I'd love to, like there's a bunch of series that are coming out that are some like I'd love to be a part of, because I feel like I have like a really people like don't necessarily know what I look like, but when I speak at the grocery store or something, I'm like, hey, you're that guy, right? So
Definitely. So you mentioned series you want to do. That's I think a good question there. What is like, if you got a call today for a movie franchise or a series, you're like, I'm in. Like we don't even have to discuss it. I'm in.
Funny enough, and while I think about an answer, I was the voice of Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they gave the job to Josh Brolin when they figured out that they were gonna make him a further character. So, yeah, I thought I had my James L. Jones, thing all ready to go, but I don't know, like anything. Like I'm kind of into. I mean, maybe it hasn't been written yet, or I'm just trying to think of what would be like any kind of. Okay. What are you doing?
That smile.
You got food in there?
Yeah.
That has to be something chipmunk cheeks going there. No.
And then you fall out. And then, here you go.
There you go.
No, I don't know.
I'm sorry, because you ate though.
Okay, thank you. Did you see there's like Blade Runner. Okay. Hey, go there. Okay, I'll see you later. Blade Runner has like a Blade Runner 2049 has a 13-minute animation that connects the dots from the first movie. Well, there's three short movies, and the animation, the narration, or the voiceovers for those were pretty cool. And then like Altered Carbon has like an animated movie that like some of those voices are pretty dope. So it'd be kind of cool to like, or like, was it Ninja Scroll? You ever see that movie? Like where like the voices for those like kung fu, flicks are pretty good. But yeah, dude, I don't know, whatever. There's like they're making an animation series of Good Times, which I think is like the strangest shit in the world. But it's kind of like yeah, you want to say hi too? Okay.
So time specific.
Hello.
Hey,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah, I don't get like it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. I tell you what's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, no problem. Absolutely.
Stop it. Okay, I'm gonna be done in just a few minutes. Okay, can you take brother in there with you?
We'll give him back in just a couple minutes.
Okay. Yeah, no, I tell you, it's gonna be.
All right, real quick.
Okay.
Clown school.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? I mean, I can almost see, with where your career's gone and the different things that you've done, why it would definitely, come in.
Yeah, I mean, it was the hardest shit in the world, man. I mean, it was super, super, super intimidating class for 2 years.
Yeah.
In the coursework at Yale, I mean, we had all kinds of fighting, like stage combat fight, this dance, everything that just puts you in your body, as well as like scene study class and theater history class. But like the clown shit, man, is that's actually the best training I think I've received, because so with Bortis, you know, like there's not a lot of movement in my head. It's very stiff, but like you don't want it to seem like a rubber face. So like I have my eyes and like really small expressions and things that you have to really hone in on and work on. And you know, just in clown class, dude. I mean, like it's not like the name of the game is humiliation. Like when you're completely humiliated, it's funny. when you try to be funny, it's not funny at all. And so, you know, you'd have to get up there, and you know, we'd have like these assignments where we had to like perform the greatest trick in the world that is going to fail, but you have to try to you have to be convinced that you can do it.
You got to sell it.
Yeah. And like I think one trick I had was I was going to stuff myself into a milk crate and just like, you know, I mean, and just and it's sweating and cutting yourself up, but it's and like to watch this you know, my size man trying to fit into this crate just and swear to God that I know I can do it. You know what I mean? Like and like even if they're doing that for 15 minutes, man, like trying to like, you know, or like another friend of mine, a classmate, he was like, I'm gonna stick to the wall. So he would just run, and he was really flexible legs, so he could just like splat on the wall and like fall down every time, and just keep watching someone do that. It's almost like a, you know, if people were to look into our class where you're just walking around like, it'd be like this weird. My wife is a psych nurse, and I'm just saying,
she's watching you closely.
I'm just saying, it's a good fit. It's like I think.
Is this a state college or state hospital? I don't know.
You know, we would do like this thing called the Ring of Fire, where you would stand in the middle of a circle and facing people, and you have to make them laugh by just laughing. And it's like, this shit is fucking painful. I mean, to just sit and try to make, I mean, and it gets really weird. It gets really psychotic. But I feel like the training, you know, because it's like, you know, and so we would get our noses. I think you get your nose at the end of the first year. And that's a big, huge deal to have a clown nose, and, you know, like it's an identity. You have to pick a name and outfit, and then it's a series of problem solving through like the filter of this clown. And it really is like my children are like, it's really like, it's like my 2-year-old is like on off, great thing. And then they're like, you know, so that's the essence of what a clown is. It's super innocent, but it's like a child. It's like being in touch with like our childlike qualities and innocence, and like the greatest, like you can have like, and it would literally be like, and it's the best day in the world, and and you're walking and you're great, and you turn the corner, and then there's a long dark hall of despair, and you have to go from like being happy to like this despair. And so it's like it's putting you rigorously through emotion, like in emotional landscapes, and just connective tissue of like going from happy to sad, sad to happy, surprise, angry, you know, all that stuff that like when you have, and it's none of it scripted, of course, but then when you get like a script, you know, or like something like this Orville business, I can take that and again, like just the way that I start to process, like to build the character is from the process of clown building, I think, because where it's like you take in, you know, obviously the who, what, where, whys, and whens of this person, but you start to build all this like backstory, like with like and that's just what you do by rote, like out of habit. Like it's like I have to take this 2-dimensional thing and 3-dimensionalize it. And you know, so like with Bortis and like the Jaloja, like the peeing once a year, like that's one thing that you find out about him in the first episode, like I only urinate once a year. And then I started thinking, I was like, well, what is that about? Like, what does that look like? What is that What is that? What is it? He's like does he have like a huge colostomy bag that he drags around and fills up over the period of a couple? And I just had to like seriously sit down and think about it and make it make sense. And then like the gig is in my brain is if you don't have that pee, you will like drown on your own fluids on the inside. Like you'll like, you know what I mean? Like I had to make it make some sort of like, you know, tragic and comedic sense, you know what I mean? And like, because without the possibility of both those things, it's like, that's, you know, so like, that's the storytelling that like, these are life and death stakes. And so then it makes it even funnier because, you know, if I don't pee, I'm going to die. That's way funnier than I have to pee once a year. You know what I mean? No,
That's fair.
So you got to
Ain't that
get
some
me to my
shit?
planet. I don't care what's going on. We need to get back to Mockless. I need to get up on that cliff or I'm going to die. And we have to make that happen. And I think that just raises the stakes. And so I think that, you know, but just in physicality, you know, being a learning or studying clown makes for very specific movement and action and reaction and just keeping you honestly listening, because you don't like when those clowns, you never know what we would get, you know, you never know if and it's all imaginary too, you know, it's like, oh, all of a sudden you're like, you know, you're being chased by a Tyrannosaurus and then like the next moment the Tyrannosaurus wants to brush your teeth and like, what does that even look like? You know what I mean? We're just like like yeah. See, and that's and he was doing that for like, and it was twice a week, and it was the class like 4 hours long. So when you come out of it, you're just like a nut job, exhausted, sweaty, and you know, probably with the shakes because you're just like feeling like so like you just come out of like some weird loony bin. But yeah, I mean, and so I feel like that since then has enabled me to access pretty much any character that I've taken on, because it's like you just start from when this person was like a little one, and that even works great for villains, like playing villains, because it's like I believe that we're all born innocent, and I think that you know, maybe some people have been around the block once or twice before, so they come into the world with a little extra stuff. But you know, like a character like Iago from Shakespeare's Othello, like it's super interesting to figure out when a person when a villain turns into a villain. You know what I mean? Like I always love those stories of like, you know, like, you know, like back in the day. Right now, we just watch like, you know, the Minions and, you know, like Despicable Me and stuff like that. But it's like, you know, we're just even learning Gru's like, you know, his history as a villain and how he was, you know, his mom hated. Well, you know, but all that stuff is why, you know, how I think about it all. So like I am really interested in the backstory, you know, and I do like a lot of those master classes online, you know, when like Sam Jackson was teaching a class and he was talking about like, you know, you act backstory, you ask yourself all these questions and you don't have to, no one has to know the answers but you, but as long as you know, no way anything that anybody asks you or anything that you react, it's not foreign. You just like, you're reacting from that character. So it takes a lot of, you know, just thinking and you know, putting stuff together, asking yourself a lot of questions, research, you know, and just building from there. I mean, and it's a formula that works for every character that I've ever, except for the one on SEAL Team. I forgot to do that research.
There you go. All right. Well, we definitely want to let you get back to your kids, but I told Gallo I had one very important Orville question, and that's, in your opinion, do you think Bortus could hold his own with Lieutenant Alaric Catan?
I mean, I think eventually he'd lose, but I think
Okay.
I think he'd give her a run for her money.
Okay.
You know, and yeah, because they're like they don't like you learn a lot about Chilean, but like they don't have a liver, so they can just drink for
Right.
You know, there are all these things that Mocklins fall short with. But anybody else, I'm gonna whoop that ass.
You got it. All right. All right. Awesome.
But I think it would be painful to watch because he wouldn't give up. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
almost like it was almost like that fight between the Mountain and the Hound in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like one of the best fights ever when like the Hound is like, fuck, this guy's not gonna die, so I gotta die with him. You know what I mean? I gotta throw him over. Spoiler alert.
Right.
But yeah, it is that kind of deal. Like I think that he'd probably like lose an arm or like like he'd still be going with like whatever.
They take a break for the annual P though. That's for sure.
Yeah, I guess unless it was Geloja time, then they just piss on her. But hey, that's another story. That's another show.
There you go. Awesome.
That's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be Geloja time around here all the time now.
Yeah.
What time is it?
All right.
Geloja time. I'll be back.
Geloja time.
Before we wrap, was there anything we talked to Orville? Obviously, we'll be back soon, but was there anything else you wanted to plug or anything else coming up that people should keep their eyes open for?
You know what? Nah. I like to have surprises.
Okay.
So,
Okay. We're cool with
That's
that.
awesome, brother.
I got stuff cooking, but I like to I don't like to talk about it until it's
there.
Well,
you know what I mean?
well,
Like
when it's time, and if you feel you need a platform, we're here for you, brother.
I love that. I love nothing more. I would
Definitely.
and keep me posted and let me know. You guys.
I'll shoot you the link as soon as this thing goes live. It should go live next week, Tuesday.
Okay.
So as soon as I have it, you'll have it. And
Word. And yeah, I mean just in general, like if there's anything else that pops up, you guys have like other guests or whatever, you're like, oh, it'd be fun to put in with that. Or I mean,
I have an idea already. I'll shoot you a message when we're done here.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate
Yes,
you.
thank you, Peter. It was Peter Macon, obviously the Orville, a bunch of other things. Check them out. But yeah, I think we're at a wrap. So signing out for Galo. I'm Iggy, and we'll catch you on the next Nerdcast.
Peace.
Yeah.